Today we are going to deal with urinary system. The urinary system consists of two kidneys, the right and the left kidneys, ureter, the left and the right ureter. We have a urinary reservoir that is called as urinary bladder and the urethra. Okay, so we will move on to the next slide. Now what are the organs in the renal system? We have two kidneys. We have two kidneys, that is the right and the left kidney. We have two ureters, that is a long tube which is coming out from both the kidneys. They are called ureter. And we have a urinary bladder. We also have a urethra. So these are the main parts of the urinary system. Now let's look at the location of these kidneys. Kidneys are a pair of excretory organs situated on the posterior abdominal wall above the waist, and it extends from the upper border of thoracic vertebrae 12 to lumbar vertebrae 3, partially protected inside the rib cage, that is 11th and the 12th pair of ribs. So this is the location where your kidneys are located. The urinary system, also known as the renal system or urinary tract. So what is the purpose of urinary system? To eliminate waste or the toxic materials from your body, regulates blood volume and blood pressure, controls levels of electrolytes and metabolites, and regulate blood pH. The right kidney is slightly lower than the left because the liver occupies considerable space on the right side superior to the kidney. They are the retroperitoneal organs. Now the kidney is red in color and it is a bean shaped. The capsules or the coverings of the kidneys are the outer fibrous capsule, perirenal fat, renal fascia, and pararenal fat. So how much does your kidney weighs, or what is the length of a kidney? Each kidney is about 11 centimeter, that is about 4 to 5 inch long, 6 centimeter or 2 to 3 inch broad, and 3 centimeter or 1 inch thickness, and it weighs about 150 grams in males and also 135 grams in females. So what are the organs associated with the kidneys? They are superiorly right adrenal gland. You might have seen in the initial slide there is two yellow colored organs sitting on the right top of the kidneys. They are called the adrenal gland. And anteriorly, right lobe of the liver, duodenum, hepatic flexure of the colon. And posteriorly, the 12th rib, diaphragm, muscles of posterior abdominal wall, that is the psoas major, quadratus lumborum, and transverse abdominis. So these three are the major muscles which is covering on the posterior side of the kidneys. So this is the frontal section of the left kidney, the anterior view. So you can see it is covered with the outside capsule which is called as the cortex. And there is a medulla, the inner layer of fibrous capsule, and there is a renal sinus, adipose tissue in renal sinus. There is a pelvis, the major and the minor calyxes. This is a minor calyx and this is a major calyx. And this area is called renal pelvis, again which is divided into hilum. This tube or funnel shaped area is called hilum, and these are the striae-like structures called renal papilla, and this is the outer layer, that is a fibrous capsule, and this is the tube, this is the longest tube which is coming out of the kidneys, that is called ureter. Hello, today we are going to learn about the gross structure of the kidney. The gross structure of kidney consists of the fibrous capsule, cortex, and the medulla. The fibrous capsule is a layer which surrounds the kidney, and it is made of dense fibrous connective tissue. We are going to deal with cortex. Cortex is a reddish brown color of tissue immediately below the capsule and outside the pyramids. And the medulla. which is the innermost layer consisting of pale conical shaped striations called renal pyramids. Now we will look at the hilum. Hilum is the concave medial border of or the deep fissure of the kidney where the renal blood and lymph vessels, ureter and nerve enters. Hilum is located on the medial surface. The renal sinus is a space within the hilus where the kidney receives blood vessels and nerves. Now we will look at the renal pelvis. The renal pelvis is a funnel-shaped structure which acts as a receptacle of the urine formed by the kidneys. So these are the structure of the kidney. It is a inner fibrous layer of fibrous capsule, the renal sinus, the adipose tissue, the renal pelvis, the hilum, the renal papilla. So this is a ureter, the longest tube which is coming out from the hilum. And here you can see the cortex, which is a thick layer. And this is medulla. This is medulla. This is the renal pyramids which has got striations. And we have a major and minor calyces. So this is the minor calyces and this is the major calyces. And the renal lobe, the renal columns, these are the two columns here. And this is the outer layer of the fibrous capsule. It also has a number of distal branches called calyces, each of which surrounds apex of the renal pyramid. The urine formed in the kidney passes through all the papillas at the apex of the pyramid into the minor calyces, then into the major calyces, and it passes out through the ureter. It comes out through the ureter and gets emptied into the bladder. The walls of the pelvis contain smooth muscle and are lined with transitional epithelium. The peristaltic movement of smooth muscle in the walls of the calyces propels urine through the pelvis. Propels in the sense it pushes out the urine through the pelvis, through the ureter to the bladder. The ureteric pelvis usually divides into 2 or 3 short tubes. The major calyces, each of which divides into 7 to 14 minor calyces. Each minor calyces receives the opening of the collecting tubules on papilla that project into the calyces. The glomerular capillary is called the glomerulus, and this is the direction of the flow from the arteries to arterioles, the capillaries, venules and the veins. This is the flow of blood in the kidney. Now let's look briefly about the blood supply to the kidneys. So the arterial supply comes from the abdominal aorta. It is a branch of the main artery. Abdominal aorta. From abdominal aorta, it gets divided into the renal arteries. From renal arteries, we have a segmental arteries. From the segmental arteries, it gets into the interlobar arteries, arcuate arteries, interlobular, and the interlobular forms into about small 5 to 8 capillaries. So these are things which we have seen in the previous slide. The arterial supply. The main renal artery which is coming from the abdominal aorta. Okay, there is a posterior segment, anterior arteries, the arcuate arteries, the interlobular arteries, and so these are the interlobular arteries. Okay, this is the interlobular artery, and again this is also an interlobular arteries. So the venous supply to the kidneys starts coming from inferior vena cava, then gets into the renal veins, segmental veins, interlobar veins, arcuate veins, and again back into the interlobular veins. So this is a picture of the venous drainage. So we are going to look briefly or maybe into small details into the parts of the kidney. This is the cross section of the kidney. The first one is a renal pyramid. The second one is a efferent vessel. The third is a renal artery, which is a major vessel supplying blood supply to the kidneys, the renal artery and the renal vein. And this area is called hilum. Then we have the renal pelvis, and we also have the ureter. The tube which comes out from the renal pelvis is called ureter. Then we also have a minor calyces, and we have, this is a renal capsule and inferior renal capsule, the superior renal capsule, the afferent vessel, and these are the nephron, the minor calyces, and the major calyces. So this is the minor calyces and this is the major calyces, and these are the renal papilla which is striated, and this is the renal column. So this is a cross section of the kidney. The functional unit of the kidney is called nephron, and the smaller number of collecting tubules, the functional unit of kidney is a nephron and the smaller number of collecting tubules. Each kidney has about 18 lobes and about 1 million nephrons. So what does the nephrons consist of? It has got a renal corpuscle, which is also called as Bowman's capsule glomerulus, and in the renal tubule you have a proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, or you can, in short form, you can call it as DCT, PCT and DCT. So this is how a nephron unit looked like. This is a cup-shaped structure is called Bowman's capsule, inside which you have a glomerulus, and we also have the arteries and the veins. Now these are the small capillaries. Okay, so the bent area is called a loop of Henle. This is loop of Henle, and this is collecting duct towards the ureter. So this is how one nephron look like. So we have two types of nephrons present in the kidney. One is cortical nephrons. About 85% of all nephrons located in the cortex. And we also have a juxtamedullary nephrons closer to the renal medulla and also extends to the loop of Henle deep into the renal pyramids. So this is the cortical nephron, and we also have a juxtanephron. So what does the juxtaglomerular apparatus consist of or looks like? It has got afferent arteriole approaching the Bowman's capsule. The smooth muscle cells of its wall becomes highly coiled. Their nuclei becomes rounded. The cytoplasm becomes highly granular, and these modified cells are called juxtaglomerular cells. This also serves as a mechanoreceptor perceiving the pressure of blood in the arterioles. It also secretes enzyme known as renin. The cells of the distal convoluted tube adjacent to the afferent artery, they are called macula densa, which act as a chemoreceptor. There is a specialized cells between the afferent and efferent arterioles called granular cells. The juxtaglomerular apparatus consists of juxtaglomerular cells, the macula densa, and the granular cells. So these are the three main structure which consist in the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Now let's see the structure of urinary bladder. The bladder is an organ of the urinary system. It plays two main roles. It has a temporary storage of urine. The bladder is a hollow organ with distensible walls. It has a folded internal lining known as rugae, which allows it to accommodate up to 400 to 600 ml of urine in healthy adults. It also assists in the expulsion of urine. The musculature of the bladder contracts during maturation with concomitant relaxation of the sphincters. So these are the two main functions of the bladder. One is to uh, act as a reservoir or accommodate, it stores urine and also assist in the expulsion of the urine. Let's look at the shape of the bladder. The appearance of the bladder varies depending on the amount of urine stored. When full, it exhibits a oval shape, and when empty, it is flattened by the overlying bowel. The external features of the bladder are the apex, the body, fundus, and the neck. Apex located superiorly, pointing towards the pubic symphysis. It is connected to the umbilicus by the median umbilical ligament, a remnant of the urachus. And the body, which is a main part of the bladder, located between the apex and the fundus. The fundus or the base located posteriorly. It is triangular in shape with the tip of a triangle pointing backwards. The neck formed by the convergence of the fundus and two inferolateral surfaces. It is continuous with the urethra. The urine enters the bladder through the left and right ureters and exits via the urethra. Internally, these orifices are marked by the trigone, a triangular area located within the fundus. So this is how a bladder looks like. The body of the urinary bladder is lined by transitional epithelium. It holds the urine before it is voided. It can hold up to 400 ml to 1000 ml of the urine. It is located between the apex and the fundus. The fundus of the urinary bladder, it is the base of the bladder. It has a shape of inverted triangle. It faces posterior-inferior and it is formed by the posterior wall of the bladder. Trigone of the urinary bladder is found on the fundus. Trigone of the urinary bladder, it is a smooth triangular part of urinary bladder. It is mucosal lining of trigone is smooth and firmly attached to the underlying wall of the bladder. It is formed by right and left urethral orifices. Once the trigone of urinary bladder is stretched to a certain degree, signal is sent to the brain that the bladder needs to be emptied. So now we are going to look into the ureter. Ureter is a narrow, thick-walled, expansile muscular tube. It is made of the muscles. It conveys urine from the kidney to the bladder, to the urinary bladder. The urine is propelled from the kidney to the urinary bladder by a peristaltic contraction of the smooth muscle of the wall of the ureter. Now, what is the length of the ureter? The length is about 25 centimeter or 10 inches. The diameter is 3 millimeters. So what are the adjacent structures related to the ureter? The ureter is generally divided into two parts, the abdominal and pelvic. Each part is about same length, that is about 12.5 centimeter or 5 inches. The abdominal part of ureter extends from the renal pelvis to the bifurcation of the common iliac artery. The pelvic part of the ureter extends from the pelvic brim at the level of bifurcation of the common iliac artery to the base of the urinary bladder. Now let's look at the arterial supply. The ureter derives its arterial supply from the branches of the arteries related to its the ureter gets blood supply from the renal artery. These are the renal artery, one on the right and one on the left. And it also receives supplies to the testicular or ovarian direct branch from aorta. It is a direct branch coming from the abdominal aorta, internal iliac, and superior and inferior vesicle, middle rectal, and uterine arteries. So these are the arterial supply. This is a major aorta. Now the venous drainage. The venous blood from the ureter is drained into the vein corresponding to the arteries. We have seen we have renal veins adjacent to the renal artery. The lymphatic drainage, the lymph from the ureter is drained into the lateral aortic and iliac nodes. The nerve supply is from sympathetic supply. It's derived from T12, that is thoracic 12 and lumbar 1, spinal segments through renal, aortic and hypogastric plexus. The parasympathetic supply of ureter is derived from S2. The S means that is spinal 2 to spinal 4, S4 segments through which pelvic splanchnic nerves. The afferent fibers travel with both sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. Urethra, it is a tubular structure emerging from the neck of the bladder and opens to the exterior. It is the outlet of bladder and eliminates urine to outside. It is present both in male and female, but there are some difference between the two. So this slide is just to show the difference between the male urethra and the female urethra. So this is the bladder in the female. The urethra is short in length, whereas in male it is longer in length. So you can see the main difference in male and female. In male it is long. The length is about 18 to 20 centimeter. Function, urination, ejaculation of semen, and it is coarse curved. It is curved, and whereas in female it is very short. The length is only about 4 centimeter. Function is only urination, and it's almost nearly straight. And when you do catheterization, urinary catheterization, it is very easy to do in females, whereas in male you have to take a little bit care because the path of urethra is a bit curved. We have gone through this slide. This is just to show that it is about 18 to 20 centimeter length, extends from the internal urethral orifice, that is in the bladder, and to the external urethral orifice, that is the meatus at the tip of glans penis. The pathway or the course is not straight and is curved, so it is double the length. It emerges from the neck of the bladder, enters into the prostate. So these are the two glands on both the sides of the urethra in male. This is the prostate gland. It passes through the urogenital diaphragm, the bulb of penis, the body of penis, and finally opens at the tip of glans penis. So this area is called glans penis. This is the posterior urethra, so near to the bladder, and it is about 4 centimeter long, lies in the pelvis, in the pelvic cavity, and it has also 3 parts. Preprostatic part between the bladder and the prostate, the prostatic part, and the membranous part through the perineal membrane. So these are the 3 parts. So this is the bladder, the neck of the bladder, the prostate, and this area lies inside the pelvic cavity. The anterior or the distal urethra, it is about 16 centimeter long, lies in the perineum and penis. It has 2 parts, the bulbar urethra and the penile pendulus. So these are the penis. This is a spongy area, which is also, so this is the bulb of the penis, and this is the tip of the penis, otherwise called as glans of the penis, glans penis. The arterial supply is by urethral artery, a branch of internal pudendal artery. A second is by dorsal artery of penis, that is a branch of internal pudendal artery also. The venous drainage by anterior urethra, drained by dorsal vein of penis, internal pudendal vein, prostatic venous plexus, and also the posterior urethra is drained by prostatic and vesicle, that is venous plexus, internal iliac veins. The female urethra is about 4 cm long and 6 mm in width. It is homologous to the prostatic urethra. It begins from the internal urethral orifice and passes downwards and forwards. It opens in the vestibule between clitoris and vaginal orifice. External urethral opening lies 2.5 cm behind the glans clitoris. Clitoris is equivalent to penis, that is homologous organ to the penis. So this is a female urethra. It also has an internal and external sphincter. So this is the external sphincter. This is the internal sphincter. So this is the trigone where the ureter, these are the ureteric orifices where they are getting connected to the bladder. And in fact, the females have a very short or small urethra. The blood supply is from arteries and veins. Arterial supply is from superior vesical artery and vaginal artery. The venous drainage through the vesical venous plexus into the internal pudendal vein, and the lymphatic drainage internal and external iliac lymph node. The nerve supply is by sympathetic, parasympathetic and somatic nerve fibers. And whenever there is infection or inflammation, you will get urethritis or rupture of urethra, which causes injury. Now let's deal with the prostate gland. Prostate is a fibromicroglandular structure situated between the neck of the bladder and external urethral sphincter. It surrounds the prostatic urethra. It is conical in shape. So the gross anatomy of prostate, it is ovoid in shape, almond in shape. It's 3 cm in length, 4 cm in width and 2 cm in depth. It weighs about 18 to 20 grams. It has homologous to the skin glands, consists of glandular elements, that is almost 70%, and fibromuscular stroma, that is 30%. So this is the prostate gland. This is the neck of the bladder and this is the urethra. Between the sides of the urethra, you will find this gland. The surfaces of the prostate, it has got 3 surfaces, the anterior, posterior and 2 inferior lateral. The lobes, it has about 5 lobes, anterior, posterior, median and 2 lateral. Now we are going to look at the physiology of the prostate. The testicular hormone regulates the prostate. Testosterone is secreted by Leydig cells of the testis. In the absence of both testes, the prostate fails to develop. And the prostate secretes the specific fluid, prostatic fluid, which provides 10 to 20% of volume of ejaculation. It contains the prostaglandin enzyme and acid phosphatase. It has antibacterial property which helps to prevent UTI, that is urinary tract infection. Prostate also secretes a glycoproteinous fluid which is known as PSA. The PSA actually liquefies the semen and allows the sperm to swim freely, and it is the best tumor marker for CF prostate. In case of cancer, the hormone the test we do is called PSA.